This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
Will, when did we start?
I guess, and I'm the guy who accidentally started. I don't know. Did we start? We started. I'm started. Hi. I am started.
And this is a great video to have on here playing while we talk about this. But this is Adam cleaning a PlayStation 2 Slim because the Slim was created as a refresh for the PS2.
Is that what that is? Oh,
That is.
shit. That's my video.
It is.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
You ever get comments on your restoring videos that say, like, that's not how I would do it?
Yo, hell yes. Oh my god. Yeah, like all the time. Like, don't use Windex. Like, shut up. Like, I get it. Do it yourself then. Like, I wouldn't have released the video if it didn't work.
Right, yeah, that's true. Can you imagine, like, and at the end of it, it doesn't work.
Yeah, my bad. Brick me.
That'd be your April 1st troll. Like
April 1st, like, yeah, just don't do anything I said in the video. LOL, bye.
You see Adam with a how to restore a Pong console. He's got a hammer in his hand.
Well, first, what you do is you got to get the screws off. So to do that, you break the shit out of it.
All right. So Adam, before we get started, what's your channel all about?
So I apparently do a bunch of videos where I clean stuff and I break it. No, I do a lot of retro video game videos. Obviously, that was one subsect of them, is taking consoles apart and cleaning them and restoring them so they get back to operational condition. I do a lot of history of video games. I do just discussions about games, reviews of hardware, mostly covering obscure hardware. Like here we have the Divers 2000 Dreamcast, which there was only like 200 of ever made. I do a lot of just general stuff and, you know, sometimes talking about what's going on in the industry and giving you guys a peek behind the scenes, because somehow I fell ass backwards into getting to meet with a lot of companies and be involved in a lot of these projects. So it's been fun.
It was a hobby that turned into a job, as I remember in your interview.
That is exactly accurate. I accidentally fell into a career based around my hobby.
Which is kind of the best job to have because you already like what you're doing.
Definitely, yeah.
So, Adam, I'm going to ask this question. Do gaming hardware refreshes still make sense for anyone, business or consumers?
I would say yes. They do.
I'm sorry, I cut the frame as a joke because Will's like, hey, you should just end it right there. So I put the black screen in.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were setting me up for a punchline. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I would say I guess. Basically, like, for business, they obviously keep doing it. You know, it's a way to refine the product so it's cheaper to manufacture. And then hypothetically, it's better for customers because they can, you know, they can pass the savings on. But I mean, it depends on how you define it, because I'm certain this is going to be a big part of this discussion, is when you say refreshes, does that include upgraded consoles? Does it include weird iterations of consoles? Or does it just include, like, hey, we're going from the PS2 Slim or PS2 to the PS2 Slim?
I'm basically saying anything except for, like, just straight up, we're making the Halo themed one. Like, that's not a refresh, right? That's just custom artwork. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, like, this Divers 2000 is technically a refresh of the Dreamcast, although I don't know if I would consider that a normal refresh. It's kind of like its own special thing.
That's actually in a sub-series I do called Rare Variants, where I take, like, these oddball versions of consoles that most people don't know exist. Actually, you want to see a good one on this? Pull up a video I did not too long ago about Sega console iterations. That one, I literally just pull out, like, every really obscure Sega piece of hardware that is like, oh, look, we have the Genesis, but then we also did, like, a billion other versions of the Genesis. And then we did, you know, like, here's all these weird Sega Saturn versions, but especially the Genesis, because Sega was really guilty of that. As I say, well, they gave me authorization to make the video. Thanks, Go Sega campaign. But yeah, like, everything you're looking there on the table is just, like, some weird alternate version. Like, that's the original, that's like the basic model of everything, and then here's like a whole bunch of strange versions. It's not even all of them, as I go on in the video to talk about. But I guess to kind of answer your question, if we're going to just refine it as, you know, does it make sense to always make more than one version of a console? The answer obviously is yes, because they keep doing it. I mean, literally the new consoles that just launched a month ago, each one launched with 2 different versions. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, like the Switch itself also has at least 2 different versions. It's like it's just a thing. It's gonna keep being a thing. What was it? Hell, it'd probably be harder to find. What was the last console that only had one version? And I think you'd have to go. No, Panasonic GameCube.
Oh yeah. What about the N64?
No.
Do you include the disc drive? I don't include that as a separate console.
I don't, but you kind of already answered it when you said the original Xbox. The original Xbox was the last console that didn't have more than one version.
Well, I mean, do you count the fact that they released new ones with new components, so they had new disc drive?
No, you're talking about iteration of parts. So that's the thing. You can debate that too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you include that type of definition where it's
The
under
Wii
the
U.
chain, the Wii U, yes. The Wii
Okay,
U. That is
yeah.
Because
perfect.
technically there was a deluxe with a 32 gig versus the 16 gig, but I don't think that's really.
8 gig. 8 gig.
Oh,
was
8 gig. You're right. 8 gig.
And
yeah.
and then one was white and one was black. You could debate that counts. Maybe
It's just a different storage
No.
amount. I don't think it's really. It's the
But-
same exact console.
sure. So if that's the case, fine. But then if you start getting into small iterations, then you have to count that by definition. Because if he's
If
talking
you got
about
the small, yeah.
again, that where do you draw the line? Basically, is what I'm asking you.
Because the NES and the SNES both had a refresh even.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I bring up the Xbox is not just because it's slightly different, but they actually like purposely fixed it and released a new version where the Wii U those released at the same time.
And
So,
they
I mean, I
never
guess
did a new refresh.
You could sort of make that argument.
Yeah, the Wii U is like the one console Nintendo's like, yeah, we don't need a new Wii U. Like, we're just done.
Well, they
The
did
Vita,
new
the
one. They
Vita.
did Switch.
Oh, no, the Wii U's newer. The Wii U's new. Oh, the Vita is slim.
The N64 never had a revision unless you include that Pokemon one.
That's not a revision. That's a variant.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and the Virtual Boy, but that's not a console.
I don't know if you count that in any particular space.
It's its own niche subgroup.
Mhm.
Anyway, but that's I guess the subject here is where do you draw the line? To me, it has to be something that's like completely aesthetically different looking. Like that's why you see all these different versions of the Saturn. It's like it's not just colors; it's like molding. So that's like a Model 1 on the left and a Model 2 on the right, where circle buttons versus oval buttons. But if you were to say open up the Sega Saturn, as I've learned very recently, there's like 40, no joke, like 40 different iterations under the hood, where sometimes the power unit was attached to the top, sometimes it was attached to the bottom, sometimes it had 5 ports, sometimes it had 4 power ports on the inside, sometimes the laser assembly was attached here, sometimes it was attached there. It's like ridiculous. But from the outside, just Model 1 and Model 2.
Probably the most desirable Genesis, though, is the CDX.
Yeah, I don't know if I would agree with that. I think that's the most desirable one of the ones people think of. Like, did you know? I mean, I show it in here. There is a version of the Sega CD and the Genesis that's wholly contained inside of a boombox.
What?
I show footage of it in this.
Did I
video.
miss this video?
I don't. It might not have come up yet. It hasn't come up yet. There's also not one, but 2 different versions of the Genesis that are inside of a computer. There's that Amstrad device, and then there's the Sega Terra Drive.
Where's the boombox? I have to know.
I think you just skipped past it.
Did
If
I?
you see me holding stuff, then you've already skipped past it.
I have to see this now.
I don't own that one. I have footage of it that I got when I found one in France. Go before that. Yeah, so I was doing this like subsect where I was talking about different consoles. This is before this. It's going to be a relatively brief clip because I only had a little bit of footage of it. So I don't know if it's before or after this. That's the Pico. I was talking about different versions. It was probably before this as well. Before the Mega Jet, probably. But you get the idea. There.
Oh my gosh! What?
That's clips of it. There's some pictures. There's the actual footage. I found one once, and that's in Paris, France.
That's a real thing?
That is
Man,
a real
I wouldn't
thing.
even know what that was. If I had seen that.
Exactly, and that's kind of my point. That's when you get into like the insane obscure. You open this up by being like, "Well, what about a Model 1 versus Model 2?" It's like, bitch, please. Like, you have no idea the insane stuff that is out there.
Does that have a more reliable disk drive than the CDX?
I don't know. I've never used that one. I never had a problem with the CDX disk drive, although maybe that's a thing. But both of mine work. But like, that's a portable version of the Mega Drive that doesn't have a screen. It was just for
Yeah, it's for flights.
Yeah, exactly. And then like on the table there, I have like the Pioneer Laser Active. That's a Laserdisc player, as well as a Sega Genesis and a Sega CD.
I actually knew what that was.
Yeah, there's quite a few strange ones out there, and that's just Sega. But by far they were the most guilty of throwing the Genesis, especially, into random devices. But every one of the console manufacturers that was around for at least a decent amount of time did this. Even SNK, you know, made like 3 different versions of the Neo Geo CD, and it was only alive for like 2 years.
Does the Pico actually play Genesis games?
No, it plays its own games.
Oh, I was gonna say what? That's like
No. It uses a lot of the Genesis hardware under the hood, but they made like special games just for it.
It's like Leapfrog before Leapfrog was a thing.
Kinda, yeah. Except Sega was on board. Interestingly, about the Pico, Nintendo actually made stuff for it. It's the only time Nintendo ever made games for Sega hardware.
I guess it must have appealed to a market Nintendo wasn't in.
Yeah, it was like babies, basically. And like Nintendo's like, well, that's not stepping on our turf.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I guess to answer the question, the last time we saw a hardware not refreshed was the Wii U, and before that, the Xbox, kind of. And before that, the N60. It's like one console each generation. It's like, nah, fam, we just suck. No iterations for you. And the GameCube, yes, I forgot about the Panasonic Q. I can't believe I forgot about that.
There's Panasonic Q. I mean, and funny, there's like 8 different versions of the Nuon, which is hilarious. And I'm not even exaggerating. There's like 8 different models of that. There's like more models of it than there are games.
You know what's so funny to me, though, is the fact that you covered it, and I thought that you were the person that covered it I watched years ago. Nope. I have no idea who covered the Nuon that I already knew about it when you covered it.
Don't know, man.
I have no idea. Because I was like, oh, it must have been Adam. And then you covered it, and you're like, I've never had this console before. Like, oh.
No, I got it earlier this year.
You're not the one that I've heard about the Nuon from then, because
it's probably Gamester 81.
It might have been. It might have been truly him. But somebody covered it before, and I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know this was a thing. Let me think here. So back to the question, I guess at large, it makes sense for business, but as a consumer, if I was going to go buy an Xbox today, Xbox Series X, knowing that there's probably going to be a refresh at some point, does it even make sense to buy one today?
You do know that'll happen. It's inevitable. In fact, it already happened too at launch.
Well, yeah, there's that. Fair enough. But I'm talking about overall, like an Xbox Series X2 or
no,
Pro.
you should at the very least, like just when I'm arguing about the disk drive, they're gonna be, you know, versions next year that are slightly tweaked to run better. So it might as well wait for those ones to get the bugs out.
Yeah, kind of like
this is not a new practice, but that's again why I keep saying we have to define this, because if you're talking about small under the hood changes, there's not a single console in history where you wouldn't find that. But if you're talking about like they look different, that's a different argument.
Yeah.
So with PS5, given Sony's history, there will definitely be a PS5 Slim at some point, maybe even a PS5 Pro, as we kind of alluded to in the first episode. But you know, it's Microsoft will do exactly the same. The reason they do it, as I said, in concept, is business reasons. They find ways to make it cheaper and more efficient to produce. Sometimes, historically speaking, they do it to strip out ports that they ended up not needing. Like the original model of the Genesis Model 1 has this thing on the back that looks like a VGA port. It was never used. So they were like, we'll get rid of it, and then we don't have to spend money to produce that. Then there were certain platforms like the PS1. The launch models of the PS1 had this extra port on the back.
So many ports.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. And they got rid of those because they were like, it's just extra electronics we're not using. And so that's where you see like bigger revisions until they do like an all slim edition that's like, okay, here's everything we know we're going to use, down to a smaller, more compact design that's cheaper. So it kind of works for everybody. I really don't see a downside to it, to be honest, except for people who just like were early adopters who didn't know that there's going to be another version at some point. But really, that's on you for not like Googling anything.
Now, there are refreshes that have actually hurt the consumer, though, like the PS3.
Yes, that's actually the rare exception. I'm glad you brought that up. There's very rarely a version of the console that comes out at one point where the re-release versions are worse.
The Wii Mini.
Yeah. Well, actually, with Nintendo, it's kind of a safe bet that the re-release is usually worse. In fact, if you think about it, so the NES top loader is better as far as reliability, but it's worse as far as like video output. So it's mostly useless unless you modify it because it only used RF. Same with SNES Junior. That one it was just as reliable, but it only used RF. There was no N64 refresh. Again, you can kind of debate GameCube because there was the Panasonic one, but that was a special thing. There was the Wii Mini, as I'm pointing out there. That one was just hot shit.
That's like, the first video I saw on your channel.
That's OG. That's before I even closed the fucking door. But I'm in that room right now that you can see behind me in the video, as we record this. But like that thing is terrible. The thing that I'm talking about in the video, it's a Wii that doesn't support GameCube. It only uses composite output. Like
no internet.
No internet. Like it's 1994. It just uses composite. And I got this thing in like 2012 or 2013, whatever it was. Yeah, it's just complete garbage. And it only had like one USB port, so I guess a lot of stuff wasn't compatible with it. But yeah, so there I am actually talking about refreshes, like as I'm making the video. See, look at all these examples. Thank you, past me, for helping me out now. Like you're citing all these examples of all these different iterations, plus many others. See, I was always on top of my game.
They did eventually hack the Wii Mini, though. And apparently it is the most reliable long-term if it only had actually good outputs for video.
Yeah, but who cares? It's the Wii. So, and then Nintendo, as we pointed out, didn't really do a Wii U refresh. So it's like, yeah, Nintendo is often a safe bet that the earliest version is the better one. In fact, Switch too, because now you only have a portable version that doesn't have docking. So yeah, Nintendo is the opposite of this. You should almost always get the first version of a Nintendo console. But like everybody else, generally one of the re-releases.
Microsoft especially.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say that Sega is guilty of it too, because if you think about it, the Master System, we're just using the US releases. The Master System Model 1 had RGB output, played your card games and your cartridge games, whereas the refresh, RF only, didn't support the card games. Genesis, the Model 1, has the 3.5 millimeter audio jack, which gives you stereo, and like neither the Model 2 or the Model 3 supported that. In fact, the Model 3 wasn't even compatible with 32X or the Sega CD. Now, granted, there's a whole bunch of those weird versions like I showed on the table, but Genesis Model 1, honestly, best version of the Genesis, like if you just want the Genesis. The Saturn Model 1 is pretty much the same as Model 2, except Model 1 is easier to do things like swap tricks and stuff like that. And there was no refresh of the Dreamcast unless you include the Divers 2000. But the opposite of that would be Sega CD. Model 1 Sega CD breaks with a feather. Model 2 Sega CD, pretty reliable. Sorry, did I go completely off the rails?
There's the CDX. Then there's the CDX. Well,
like I said, if you're going to go down that road, you're going to go back to that video I showed you. Like, we have to start talking about the details of the boombox thing. Like, it gets ridiculous. That's why you just have to hold on to just a couple, especially with Sega. They were insane.
So, if you had an opportunity to get the boombox, would you?
Hell yes. What are you even asking? Like,
how come you didn't? Yeah. Was it not for sale?
The one I saw in Paris, yeah, it wasn't for sale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, it's like one of those things where like I'd probably have an easier time, I thought, finding it in Japan where it actually was like released. But to this day, the only time I've ever seen one is that one guy's in that place in Paris. That was it.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny? I totally always forget the Panasonic Q exists.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's pretty cool.
It is. It is cool. And it is something that, like, if I had it, it would be my talking piece. Like, it would be the talking piece to my collection. Because I have the GameCube component cable, but I think isn't there like a true...
It'll always be Persona. You'll always show your Persona collection.
I do have the most expensive Persona games. This is true.
Yeah, see, this is my point.
And I have one of the most expensive Fire Emblem game too. It was going for $600 when GameCube hit its all-time high this middle of summer. So,
damn, son.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Like, why? Because it is like a $200 game normally, but randomly it spiked in the summer. It was like $600-$700. Like, that is ridiculous.
Well, there's been this thing where we're all stuck in our homes and we're bored. So
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know why we're stuck in homes.
But in the middle of a pandemic, who's paying $600 for a GameCube game? Like,
dude, I know you're laughing, but it's amazing. Like, the market on retro has never been higher. Because like everybody's like, I need stuff to do. I'm going insane.
Wii Sports hit $50 middle of the summer too. It's like, why?
A lot of stuff did. A lot of stuff did.
Like, you could sell your Wii for $100, and it hadn't been more than 30 in like 5 years.
Yep. It was a weird time. It still is.
I guess the Wii U will probably be one of the last consoles to not have an iteration or revision, I should say.
It's interesting because again, Nintendo's kind of You know what is actually more interesting, I think, is now that we were kind of talking about how Nintendo Model 1s, if you want to call them that, are generally the better version. Seems like Sega kind of followed that trend. I would actually go so far as to say Atari did too. So I would say the flip side of that is it's generally only Sony or Microsoft where the later models are better. You know, because the PS1, the original model is good for some things, but by far the PS1, the smaller one, is vastly more reliable.
And it's more aesthetically pleasing too.
Yeah, the PlayStation 2, kind of the same thing, where the original model definitely has features that, let's just keep it real, the modding community enjoys. And the same is true of the fat model. But the PS2 Slim, vastly more reliable. PS3 would be definitely the exception, though, because the launch model, everybody knows, like, that's the good one because it's got the PS2
That's
support.
the one I have.
Yeah, but PS4 is like the flip side. Like, easily, the base model's the worst version.
By far.
Yeah, because you could have the Pro. And the same exact thing with the Xbox One. Yeah,
no, because you have the Kinect port.
But you can, if you really wanted to, you can use the, I know you're joking, but you could use the USB adapter and it doesn't even matter. The Xbox One X is indisputably the best version of that console.
I agree.
When the only thing you lose is the damn Kinect port, which you don't even really need anyway for any number of reasons, it doesn't matter.
I use mine.
And then the same with the 360, because like the S was really good. The base model, garbage, as we all know.
And the E is terrible as well.
The E is bad too, so it's really the S. So really, to go back on that, I would say for the most part, it's really just Sony and Microsoft where the later versions are better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe SNK, the Neo Geo CDZ was good, but that's, nobody has that. I don't even have one of those.
Kind of an obscure. You know what? The Intellivision 2, the second one, was not as good as the first one. It had like.
Well, what about the Intellivision 3?
I don't think that exists because I think it was a can.
Do
you really?
I have one.
Wasn't that a
video on it?
How do I not know this? Hold on.
Because you didn't watch everything I did, like a good old stalker. You need to watch every single video. I think I did a video like cleaning an Intellivision 3. I think that's it, like third down.
No, it's 7800. Are you sure?
I promise you. It's like a sports edition console. It's bizarre, but it is called the Intellivision 3.
The 3 was like most
TV 3.
Yeah, that's a thing. I did know that actually.
Yeah, that's the Intellivision 3. It's just a remold of the Intellivision.
Oh, okay.
I think it might be there on the table. I'm not even sure.
Oh god, the Wii U. Poor Wii U.
Look up IN. Yeah, I don't know if I did a video on specific. I know I showed it at some point, but God knows when.
Interview 3. Oh god.
Yeah, that's probably not accurate. Well, Google it if you want, but Intellivision 3.
I know it's a thing. I know that exists.
Yeah, I have it. That's the Intellivision 3, and it's one of the weird times where it's like it went back and was bigger than the second one. It was just like literally the first one, but it had some extra features like a functional LED, so you could tell when it was on, stuff like that.
That's cool.
There's the 2, because that's what a lot of people have is the 2.
Yeah, I've got a 2. I have the 3 somewhere, just don't know where.
Okay. I believe you.
Oh, go to cleaning.
It's right here.
Yeah, cleaning and restoring an Intellivision that I made. It's in that video. It's in the thumbnail. Yeah, that first one right there. That's it on the right.
So the 3 is basically like an upgraded 1.
Exactly, and then the 2 was a complete mold difference.
Yeah, the 2 I've heard is like has compatibility issues. Like it's not the one to get.
Yeah, that's it on the right. That's the INTV. That's the Intellivision 3 on the right.
Okay, so I think the 4 and the 5 were the canceled versions then, because there was supposed to be a 4 and a 5, believe it or not.
That I had not heard.
Because this is bad because I actually covered this on our channel. I'll show you. No, we covered the fact that they existed. It was this one. We covered it with Chad, and Chad had like all of the models. He was showing it to us during the podcast.
Oh yeah, well
Unlike me,
he was showing his superior knowledge. So
he has far superior knowledge to me. That's clear as day here. I'll link to this video too, just for fun. But I'll link Adam's Sega Iterations video in this video to this video right here, the one we're doing right now, live, that you aren't seeing, but. Because you guys aren't here with us. Adam's the only one here with us. He's watching it live because he's here with us.
Yo.
Yeah, Chris.
Yo,
Thank you for explaining that.
It's like Krillception here. We got CHRILLCAST playing in the CHRILLCAST window.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is this like the first time you clicked on one of your own videos? Because you've been like clicking on all mine this whole time.
We usually click on the guest videos. Yeah, I mean,
Well, that makes sense. But it's like, I'm asking, is this the first time you clicked on your own video in a podcast?
no.
No.
I think.
And we've definitely done it before.
Hold on, I can get you one like that. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
We're just gonna keep playing this game of mirroring.
Best launch.
Will you just keep getting smaller and smaller on screen?
Yeah. Very nice.
I should do this every once in a while and see if anybody notices how many times I can put a window inside of a window.
Nice.
Yeah, one top there.
Let's see if I can find it. I think I did it in this video. If not, it was the same week. No, it wasn't that one. Okay, it must be the next gen selling. Hold on. We got to do this now, just for the fun.
For the challenge.
For the challenge. Oh my gosh, it's a recent video too. Like, how is it not? Oh, here it is. There it is. I think it was this one because Will was like, Chris isn't in the video, but I bet he'll put himself in the video, and I just grabbed a clip of me. Yep, there we go. We're three videos deep here. Look at that.
Bad. Okay.
This is literally Krillception. This is
Yeah,
it right
we're
there.
having a refresh right now. So like, there's
Yeah.
the first version, the second version, the third version.
But I
Or
used
is it-
the
or
old
is it a
frame
reboot?
with
Or is it
Oh, true.
I
Or
used
sequel.
this frame I made specifically for Adam is the only one I've made specifically for a guest, and I just keep using it every time Adam comes on. Inevitably, he always says audio only, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to set up the camera. I'm lazy. It's a lot of work.
All right. Well, Adam, we definitely appreciate having you on here because I can't imagine having this refresh discussion with anybody else.
Yep.
So,
You should have got Gamester 81. He would know all about it.
well, you know what? Next time we'll have him and you on. Then you guys can have your first collab.
Thank you.
Well, seriously, Adam, we appreciate you getting on. And basically 6 months from now, I'll be reaching out and be like, hey, come on again.
Sounds like a plan, son.
And
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, and
Thank
I'll
you.
make sure I link to Adam's old videos with us because those are just as good, I promise.
Did we ever even answer the question? Do game refreshes still make sense for business and consumers? Yes, I guess it does. It's good.
The answer is
I mean,
yes.
sure. I mean, they're clearly making money, and I mean, I bought the 1X, so it must have worked out for me.
And I have the PS4 Pro, so
Yeah, I guess, all right, to summarize this, boil this all back down, I would say, like, with Nintendo, maybe get the early ones. With Sony and Microsoft, maybe wait a little bit.
for
Well,
consumers.
yeah. When I bought the Switch, I got the older one, so
Exactly.
But you get the older one or the new older one? Because there's a new older one that's
yeah,
unhackable.
I don't know. I don't know which one. I have had no problems with the battery life, but maybe I'm not playing long enough.
Well, if you get more than 3 hours, you have the newer version of the old version.
I don't have 3 hours to play a game.
Yeah, come on, man. We're old now. We can't do that.
Oh my gosh, that is a really old Krillcast in the background of this video. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
That is a revision right there of
That's
the
back
podcast.
when we still used our cell phones.
Yes. Yes, that is true. I forgot about that. It's been a
Yeah.
long time since we did that. Okay.
Thankfully for everyone involved. But
Adam, you missed out on the glory days.
Sorry to hear that.
We were just filming with a cell phone. It was like
yeah,
this
my
is the
hand would shake
Krillcast.
so bad. I'm like, ah.
And I spun in my chair a
Oh,
few
weird.
times
It blocks out my phone. You can't see it. Oh, there it is.
because it's got a
Oh,
green
it's gone
case.
now.
Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
It's blue.
Oh, never mind. All right. Well, as always, I'm Chris.
Will.
And I'm Adam. I decided to actually be normal this time.
Also, subscriber 66.
Execute subscriber 66. No, wait, what?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Send him to the veil now, and we will see you
Next Curlcast, I guess.